My name is Dan Dennison. I'm at JK's Wine and Liquor in Kingston, New York, and we're talking about one of the fastest growing portfolio in the business and doing a little bit of a educational seminar, so to speak. The first brand up is a fantastic, unusual gin called Hendrix. It's from Scotland, as all of you probably know. Gin is generally from England. We refer to ourselves as the unusual gin. In our replica bottle here, we've got botanicals in it. We use 2 different stills. We let everything rest overnight. Hendrix is enjoying very strong double-digit growth. A country like Spain, it is the #1 spirit sold. What makes, again, us unusual with Hendrix is that when you make a gin and tonic, you are going to garnish it with a cucumber slice. It is infused with cucumbers and rose petals. We're very proud of this item. You guys like to try a little bit?
Absolutely.
You may want to nose the brand, see what the liquid tastes like. It does have juniper. Some people get a little intimidated by juniper. When they think of gin, I actually think of this more like a vodka. It does have that juniper, but it's not nearly as strong. So we actually like to target ourselves against some other big vodka brands. But this is a lot of hipsters. That young 21 to 40-year-old consumer is all about Hendrix. Very popular brand. Okay? The next one that you do very well with is our Icelandic vodka. It is called Reika. When you think of Iceland, you think of a wonderful country that, say, Coca-Cola is produced in that particular country. They do not filter their water because the water comes off the glacier. It is very pure and clean. We use that same water in making our special small batch Reika vodka that you, again, do so well with. We have a new package that has a little bit of the orange stripe that you have on the shelf that we've seen. This is filtered through lava rock, which is one of the natural sources of Iceland. What makes us a little bit different when we try to benchmark this against a brand like Tito's. Tito's, which for New York is made in Indiana. This is made in Iceland. So a very different platform produced there. Package comes like this. If you guys like to try Reika vodka. Beautiful. You want to try?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you.
Smooth.
It is. It's very smooth. It's distilled just once. We don't feel we need to distill it anymore. We're not about to come out with any cotton candy or Swedish cherry flavored vodka. If you want those profiles, just add bitters. Pretty simple, clean. It is one of the fastest growing vodkas in the United States. Our next wonderful category is tequila, which is basically as hot as anything that we have in the spirit industry right now. Milagro means miracle. This is 100% agave, which is a little bit different from the 51% mixto that had been very popular in the past. Everything is moving to much more pure. This is kosher certified. You can notice on Milagro we have a very contemporary package for the most part, where you look at our competitors, they kind of have more squatty bottles, which kind of make fun of that. We're all about slow roasting our agave plants in traditional clay ovens. We let this rest for 2 days. You ever go to a pig roast, you can't have a pig roast where you can cook the pig in 2 hours. It just doesn't happen. So the slower you cook something, the sweeter it gets, which is one of the 2 caveats that we have with our Milagro. We also had really good news last Monday where we bought a distillery that is going to help us meet the expanse that Milagro is enjoying everywhere. Silver does not touch any oak. Your average American consumer is a big fan of silver. If you're in Texas or if you're in California or Mexico, they're probably going to be more tied to an anejo or tied to a reposado, which ultimately rests in oak, where the silver, again, does not touch any oak. This is a pretty reasonably priced item. It's about a $24, $25 bottle for the 750. There is a 175. Again, pretty cool, hip, fun. Do a lot of business with it.
Tasty.
Its bigger brother is the Reposado. This actually happens to be my personal favorite. This is that same liquid, but we put it in an oak barrel for 4 to 6 months. So it sweetens it up, makes it a little easier to try to consume if you're making a Paloma or again that margarita, which is the #1 selling cocktail in the United States. So, right? Oh my Lord, I did all three of them too much. That's crazy. So, out of our home Milagro line, I absolutely love this. There's people that will sit there and tell you this is much better liquid than what you have in Patron. It's half the price. So when you're working the floor and you've got somebody that's looking at a price, $30 bill for the Repo, or $32 for the NATO is absolutely fantastic.
It is really good.
The next brand that we have is Sailor Jerry. This is a spiced rum. It's 92 proof. This is a fairly new package that we have for this. We rolled it out a little over a year ago. This is a little over 1 million case brand in the United States. It's all about the U.S. We basically produce this in New Jersey. There's a gentleman by the name of Norman Sailor Jerry Collins that is on every single bottle. He was a tattoo artist in Honolulu during World War II. And the sailors would basically leave the battle, come see him, drink his higher proof spiced rum, and get taxed. He created that Asian flair, which is kind of pretty retro and hip right now in the market. All of it is tied to Sailor Jerry. A lot of people will tell you that this has a little bit more cherry, a little bit more hints of vanilla versus what its competitor might have. But clearly, Sailor Jerry is the #2 selling spiced rum in the industry. And our business right now is up mid-double digits, so we're enjoying fantastic growth. I don't know what that says about society during a pandemic if everybody is interested in drinking a 92 proof, but it's all good business and we'll take whatever we can. Authentic, all about the U.S. Okay?
Delicious.
Great. Thanks, guys. Okay, the next item we have is a test market here in New York. It's our Hudson. This replaced the baby bourbon. This is what we call Bright Lights Big Bourbon. We lowered the price, and ultimately, where this had been a $50 bill, it is now a $40 bill on the shelf. And we made the liquid 50% older. It's now just over 3 years where it is resting in oak. The initial pull is that this has been fantastic. We're selling quite a bit of it, so we're excited about the future. We did get rid of the wax cap. That was kind of a little bit of a challenge for bartenders when they were busy behind the scene. But ultimately, we think that hitting a new $40 price point, capturing the fact that this is the first whiskey produced in the state of New York since Prohibition, is really going to move us to another level. This will be a national rollout come January, so New York basically has the lead versus what we've done elsewhere. The next big brother that we have with our Hudson portfolio is Do the Rye thing. This replaced our Manhattan Rye. This age has not changed. This is a little bit more peppier, got a little bit of a spice to it. It is line priced to what you just had, so it's that $40 situation. You guys are holding up pretty well. We'll get some water after this one, I promise, okay? We have some Icelandic water, so we're going to encourage drinking responsibly as we are flying through this. So let's get you some water to help. And just this is probably a good time to talk about how important water is when you're drinking spirits. You know, it will change its composition if you're adding ice or you're going to add some water to something. It will not adjust the calorie count. And often what you can do when you look at a clear glass like this, you can hold the liquid up and see what ice is doing accordingly. You guys okay so far?
Very good.
Beautiful. All right, let's go to our wonderful Irish whiskey from William Grant & Sons. This is called Tullamore Dew. If you were to draw a map of Ireland and threw a dart and hit the bullseye, you're going to hit the town that is called Tullamore. The Dew stands for Daniel Edmund Williams. He was quite an innovator, helped bring pharmacy, helped bring electric cars to Ireland, but this is growing as fast as any Irish whiskey in the industry, enjoying ridiculous growth. So when we look at this, 4 to 7 year old liquid that has been rusting in an oak barrel. We actually have, I believe, 13 different rick houses in our town of Tullamore. We've got a state-of-the-art distillery that we opened up several years ago. And Tully is obviously something very easy to drink. Somebody mentioned a second ago, smooth. It competes with Jameson, of course, but family run kind of makes us stand out a little bit different versus some of the other players that are there. Now we're going to move to what we call the fastest growing whiskey across the entire world. It is called Monkey Shoulder. Here in the States, we rolled out a new 175 earlier this year. But Monkey Shoulder comes from 3 different distilleries, thus the 3 monkeys you see on here: Glenfin, Glenfiddich, and Balvenie. We select 27 barrels from those distilleries and mash them together to have this wonderful blended scotch. This is about a $35, $36 item on the shelf, and enjoying just ridiculous growth. I think you could make a case that it's honestly low in price compared to other items of its quality. Sure. One of the fun cocktails I like to do at our party, let's pretend your partner isn't a big whiskey fan. I like to buy kettle corn, and I will pour this in kettle corn and let it marinate for 20 minutes, strain it to get the kernels out. I have the whiskey I like if I want to drink it on the rocks, or what we call a ginger monkey with ginger ale. But then you have that item that's been resting in kettle corn that's sweet, simple, fun. It's something a little bit different, and there's a great cocktail called the Monkey Jam Sour you can try, which is also. We are here today because of Glenfiddich. This is the #1 selling single malt across the entire world. It is family run. There's about 100 different single malts. Only a handful are still family run. #1 selling single malt in Scotland, which is important. Glenfiddich means Valley of the Deer. This is 12 year. We have a lot of other expressions, 14, 15, 18, etc. When you drink this, an ounce or a dram, as they refer to it in Scotland, you've got about 70 calories to it. So it makes it somewhat easy for a purchaser to enjoy some at night and make it to work the next day. You can have 2 drinks, you're fine. That's right. If you want to go through and add ice, it's going to change the composition, but you're still going to have that 70 calorie concept, which is fantastic.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then the last item, which is a true treat, is our Glenfiddich 21 year. This is about a $200 bottle on the shelf. This is 21 years in that bourbon barrel that comes from Kentucky, and then we finish it in a rum barrel to sweeten it up. And when you think of a consumer that might be buying some wine, they like to have wine that tends to be a little bit sweeter. That's what this would play off. This comes in a nice, and the comments from the peanut gallery, how somebody has just all of a sudden reappeared when we're doing the 21, which is understandable because it is a nice treat to be able to have some Glenfiddich 21. So at the end of the day, that is our fun educational seminar with the team at JK. We want to thank you for your support.
I'd like to thank Dan for tasting us on all these products, and they're all available at JK's Wine and Liquor. Come on down and try them out. Thank you.